And welcome to the Daily Autism Radio Show. This is a radio show by autism parents, and of course it is for autism parents, as we try to connect all the dots in this special needs world known as autism and having kids on the spectrum, and all the products and services that can help your life, simplify your life, bring this community together. That is what we're all about. And of course, we are online and on the web 24/7 at dailyautism.com. Big show today where we really want to focus a lot on the actual services that can help families of autism. We really have a lot of info that we've been researching all week, so I want to get to that real quick. Our partners, warriormom.org, more on Warrior Mom and Tracy Slepcevic coming up later in the show. The original Krabby Bill's on Indian Rocks Beach, more on Krabby Bill's, our favorite spot coming up. And America's only autism hotline, which you can get more info at dailyautism.com. So some of the things we've been researching this week, and really it's amazing how many people aren't aware or just sort of scratch the surface of what's available to help your family. And I'm talking everything from financial services, opportunities to get an education, to be paid to get an education, things like diapers and pull-ups, the ability to be compensated to take care of your special needs child, or have members of your family or friends be compensated to take care of your special needs child, the federal services, including Social Security and a wide array of other things, just so many things out there. And again, you know, some of this is for some people and some of it for others. Some of it's just not for everybody, but it's no point in keeping this stuff a secret, as it helps a lot of people. I also want to touch, too, briefly on, you know, if you watch anything on TV, you know, a game, or if you stream shows, even if you get on social media, you can't help but see all these ads about these autism lawsuits. I want to scratch the surface of that, too, and see what that's all about. And, you know, whenever you're dealing with class action lawsuits, there's so many layers to it. But with this community, the autism community, I thought it would be important to really evaluate, really dive deep into what it's all about, the possibilities, and so we'll share some of the research that we've done on that coming up. Before that, we'd love to connect with you on our social medias, dailyautism.com. That will link you to all of our social medias, very active on Facebook and TikTok, LinkedIn, and of course we do LinkedIn's only autism newsletter. And again, get links to all of those social channels at dailyautism.com. So I think the first thing is how did we get here? You know, why are we talking about all of these resources that are so important for parents of autism, programs, benefits? I mean, everything you can find, scholarships, grants. It really could be a full-time job just doing the research, right? Like just trying to figure out what's out there. That would be way over 40 hours in a week. And the good news / bad news is, especially for parents of autism, because I go through this too, so many things exist, but then so many things die off. Then good new things are added, but then some of the things that were beneficial in the past, they die off too. So it's a lot of give and take. It is a big kind of tug of war where you've got this rope and you're going, what's available for my child? You know, that's the interesting thing about this that a lot of people have to realize. This is for the betterment of kids. How can we gain function with these kids? How can we help these kids gain function? Really tough as an autism parent to look at your child and say, they can't do this. Will they ever do that? How can I help them get there? Can I get just a little bit of function, just a little positivity, a little growth, a little understanding? And I think that's the real tough part, you know, is especially, you know, it's easy to compare your child to maybe their siblings, your other kids. And you say, gosh, I want them to do that. What can I do? So you look for these programs, you look for these services, you look for anything possible, different therapies. And you have to keep going and going and going. I say it all the time. I think the best autism parent is the researching autism parent who is always researching. And it's not just Google, by the way. And I caution a lot of people about Google because the fundamental of Google is they're going to give you the stuff that people paid for first, right? It's keyword based. companies or people, they buy these keywords, and that's kind of what they want you to see first. That's it. It's a business. If I'm looking at Google, instead of google.com, I'm looking at google.scholar as it pertains to autism research, the stuff that scholars were a part of. And even that at times is you gotta kind of weigh that out. But research could be, and I know this is like, out of the 1900s, but actually picking up the phone, right? And we've all got them. We all carry them with us. But making a phone call and talking to somebody and, sending somebody a message on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, trying to find information. What's out there? I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about services here in Florida. And, what specific therapy centers would accept certain, whether it was insurance or grants or scholarships. And, my thing is cut down the time that you're taking to try to figure all this out. Here's what you do. Call the therapy centers and say, hey, do me a favor. Could you email me everything that your clients use to have their kids go there and get training or education, whatever it is, all the different therapies, products, services. And that way I can start going. You're kind of funneling the information. So instead of casting this big wide net and going to Google, you're just going to the places that you want your kids to wind up at and say, hey, do me a favor. Can you just tell me everything that your clients use? And so that way I can start attacking and see what I can get for my family and my kid. I think that's the best way to do it. And obviously the therapy centers, these organizations, whatever you're trying to get to help your child, it's in their interest to give you the best information because at the end of the day, they want to help you. They want you as a client. They want to bring you under their umbrella. So picking up the phone, calling these organizations, calling these therapy centers and just say, hey, here's my email. Just send me the email and I'll start attacking it from there. I think that's a really, really good way to save your time. And as special needs parents, my goodness, time is the most valuable commodity for anybody on earth because we don't know how much we have, right? We don't know how much, like money, you know how much money you have. You can just get online and go to your bank account, look at your assets and say, yep, this is what I've got today. And if I don't do anything today, this is what I'll have tomorrow. But time, we don't know what we've got, right? We don't know how much we've got. So it is the most precious commodity. I think at the end of the day, the amount of time you can control is being rich, especially for special needs parents of autism. Many times you got to spend time with your other kids who are not special needs, so they need non-special needs time. Of course, your special needs child needs a lot of time, and he or she needs special needs time, which is much different than non-special needs time. If you're a special needs parent, you understand. So get in touch, one-on-one communication with those therapy centers and organizations and say, hey, help me help you. Just steer me in the right direction. Where do I go so that I can get in with you guys under your umbrella? I think that's a big thing. The other reason is why we talk about these products, why these services, these grants, scholarships, really just opportunities. Let's look at the raw numbers. Now, I pulled up this average, and I think it's interesting. So to raise a non-special needs child, this is in the United States, and this is an average, is about $13,600 a year. So that's an annual, and this is from birth to 17, okay? $13,000 a year, just over that. You start doing that math, and I think that makes some sense. This isn't your kid wants to play on the premier travel baseball team, which is $1,500 a month. That's not survival. It's great. It's great. But this is talking about truly just surviving basic needs. Okay. So non-special needs, about $13,000, a little over about $13,600 in the United States. Let's go to a child with autism. $86,000 annually, birth to 17. It's not even in the same solar system, right? It's so beyond what you can imagine. Think about right now your bank accounts. Think about your assets. Think about your salary. And trying to do everything that you do but subtracting about $86,000. And again, that's basic survival. And I get non-special needs parents because we get it all the time, really, on our social media platforms. Why do special needs parents always talk about having to spend so much more money than other people who don't have special needs parents? And, I get that they don't get it. But as you get into this, it starts getting frustrating. I get that they don't get it. And because, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have gotten it. But, now that we're in this position, we've just said, hey, we're going to be a mouthpiece, a media arm for this category of life. But think about everything you need. Let's just talk about the survival stuff, how we get to that number. That's a big number. About $86,000 a year to raise a child with autism. A year. Think about the safety stuff. Just everything that you can't do without. I mean, I'm thinking about my house now as I look out from our studio and I look at the doors. Well, the thing about our doors, most doors have one lock, and the lock is in the door handle. Well, our doors have 2 to 3 locks. You have the one in the door handle. Then you've got a deadbolt that needs to be higher because Cal can, push a chair there or push a big pillow or one of his jumpy toys and get up and unlock the door. So then you got to have a lock even higher than that. You have like those door jamb locks, and then you have those slider locks. So we've got that on all the doors. Then I look at our slider doors, which go out to the pool, and I'll get to the pool in a second. And the special locks needed for that. Why? Well, we talk a lot about autism and kids with autism eloping. Kids with autism tend to love water. It's that sensory thing. It's very soothing. That's very good and very bad. So while we love having, our pool, and we love living in Florida where we can use our pool, most of the year, that pool can also, really be a big problem. And, we've talked before about the number one cause of death with kids with autism. So the special locks and getting out of the sliders. And, these are the real deal, right? These are the kind that they have to be fail-proof. They have to work 100% of the time. And I'm just talking about the hardware. Of course, it's up to parents and everybody in the house to activate them. But from a construction and hardware aspect, they've got to be the best, right? You're not looking for a coupon for these things. You want the best. And you got to get the best people to install them. Think about outside of the pool. So you get outside, you just can't have free access to the pool. So there's safety gating. Special safety gating. It's got to be a certain type of strength. It's got to be a certain type of height. The people who install them have to understand that this isn't just to keep, an alligator out of your pool. This is to save a kid's life if they, in fact, get out of those big sliders. So that's got to be installed correctly and intelligently. And, so what else do you need? Well, you just can't trust that all that stuff's going to work. There's human error everywhere because, that we're humans. We're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to make mistakes. Well, the thing about that is you don't want to go through all of this, kind of emotional intelligence of let me figure out everything that we can do to prevent a problem, a disaster. You do all that, there could still be a problem. So what happens next? Well, we need to be able to see the pool 24/7, literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We need access to that thing, snap of our fingers. Well, you need to go out and buy cameras. Can't just buy one either because you need all angles. So, you got to buy the cameras. You got to have them installed. You got to make sure that, the sensitivity is correct so that if anything gets close to that pool, you can see it. You can sound an alarm. You can get a neighbor to jump the fence. You can call 911. Truly, the list goes on and on. I think I've just spoke about doors and a pool and have gone on here for a few minutes. So the expenses related to just doors and a pool, and I guess I could take the pool thing one step further. Why do all of that? Why go through all of that and then your child can't swim? I mean, you've done all of this stuff, but why stop there? Why stop at the child? And so we've had to make heavy investments in specialized swim lessons. And I think we're on year 3 now. And even at that, Cal can't fully swim. If he goes in, he knows how he can get to a wall if he's not tired. But, if you go underwater, sometimes it's hard to get back up. Like I said, you're tired. You could be scared and confused because usually you're in the pool with your siblings and parents. So even at that, who's going to make the investment in the additional swimming lessons, specialized training? And many kids who are autistic, it's not like they do swim lessons for a summer and they learn. Our other 4 kids, they learned in a summer. And Cal's on his 3rd summer, and we're still not there. And it's not the kind of thing where it's, pay for 1 round of swim lessons and then you get a lifetime supply until he learns. It doesn't work like that. That'd be great. But it doesn't work like that. So the expenses that start mounting and mounting and mounting to get to that number, like I said, about $86,000 a year from birth to 17 to raise a child with autism. How about the food? Children with autism tend to really appreciate just a few food groups, and they want a lot of it, and that's all they want. So that's what you're purchasing. We have kind of a wild spectrum of food for Cal, but that said, it's specific. It's broccoli. We buy a lot of broccoli. Uncrustables. We buy a lot of Uncrustables. I can tell you during the heat of inflation. And even though everyone says inflation's going way down, I don't really feel that. I don't see it's going way down. Certainly never going back to where we were a few years ago. That's not happening. But, I got to tell you, even when you could buy Uncrustables after they jacked the prices up 38, 40%, and the actual product got smaller, that was kind of one of the aspects of inflation that you honestly just had to laugh at. Okay, so we're getting charged a lot more than we were, but then the product's actually physically getting smaller? It's like inflation plus, right? That was the pro version of inflation, right? We didn't get the free version. We got the pro version. So, there's all of that, and then the special snacks and everything like that. But it's funny during inflation. I say funny because sometimes you do just have to laugh, but you couldn't even find them. So we had to go find some offbeat brand. But if you know anything about autistic kids, they want what they want. They know what they want, but they know when they're not getting what they want. So, we had a lot of instances where we were buying things, and unfortunately they were not getting used because it just wasn't what he wanted, expected, needed, and he figured it out. So food is another really big one. How about all the driving to all the different therapy centers, all the different specialized gyms with specialized equipment? That adds up. Gas, time, paperwork, and if you don't find the right scholarship, sometimes the right grant, this is all out-of-pocket stuff. You're not seeing these professionals for free. I mean, these people are getting paid, and rightfully so. They have received many years of specialized training, special degrees, very specialized certificates, and so there's a high demand for that, and so there's obviously associated costs with that. So just kind of chipping away at that number, $85,000, $86,000 a year. To raise a child with autism, that's from birth to 17. Non-special needs child in America, about $13,000. And let's look again inside the house. How about the special sensory items you need inside the house? We've got a sensory trampoline. He needs that. He needs that to feel things. He kind of needs that to, it's very hard to explain, but to kind of get energy out and get energy in. That kind of starts the flow. All of the special sensory, I call them, everybody calls them toys. Most kids wouldn't necessarily play with these things. These are really to get feelings, to kind of get those sensory feelings from. But there's a variety of those. We have a thing called a squeezer, and I'll do a horrible job explaining it. Let me tell you that kids that are non-sensory, that are non-special, they would not know what to do with this thing. It almost is how you would make some type of food. You kind of press your body between these big foam rollers and you go through, and for kids with autism, many at least, it really gives them that rush of emotions, kind of that sensory squeeze that they like, that they appreciate, and really that they need. Not free at all. There are a variety of other things. Cal loves fish, so we do a lot of big blow-up fish toys. Play-Doh, which this is not the Play-Doh that we grew up with, right? First of all, you really want to buy the toxic, non-chemical Play-Doh. And really the reason for that, well, there's an obvious reason, obviously, but on top of that is that they spend, many of them, so much time with these sensory type things. So Cal gets this stuff, it's actually called dough, and it's about $68 an order, and it's like 3 buckets that come in. He can literally wear this dough out in one weekend. But again, he needs it. He needs it for that sensory rush. He makes baby sharks with it. We're into a big Mickey Mouse Catoodles stage where he makes the little toodles and different shapes and colors, and that's his weekend. And it's good for him. It's good for his hands. It's good for kind of those fine motor skills, which is really a huge challenge for a lot of these kids to develop. So, I don't know how many thousands of dollars of dough orders we've made over almost 3 years, but he needs them. He needs them. Think about technology. A lot of people get sideways with this, but give me a break. Everybody has a laptop and an iPad, and Cal uses that. It's funny. He's kind of an old soul. He likes the really old kind of cartoons. Tom and Jerry is a big favorite of his. Woody Woodpecker. He really gets on these kicks with these older cartoons, and a lot of them, really, it's interesting, are the ones where the characters don't speak. They don't really say anything. Like Curious George, some of the characters talk, but George doesn't himself. So, but you need devices for that. And children with autism, sometimes their devices get the brunt of it. There's a meltdown while you're holding an iPad. Maybe you can't download a video. Maybe the internet goes down, and a lot of times the anger and frustration gets taken out on those iPads. We've been through a dozen. I think I'm being conservative there, but about a dozen. I feel good saying 10. Home run at 8, but I feel good saying 10. And again, not free. Unless occasionally you can find a scholarship or a grant that can deliver that to the families. I think probably, too, it's important to talk about, when we talk about the annual cost of raising a child with autism, 0 to 17, like we said, about $86,000 a year. How many families have 2 kids on the spectrum or diagnosed with autism? There's a lot. So, as if the one, nearly 6 figures, wasn't tough enough and challenging enough, there are many, many families who have 2, 3. So that number, by the way, it's not like we said before. It's not like, okay, you have one child who has autism and, it's about $86,000 a year. If you have the second, hey, we'll just call it even. We won't charge you anymore. It just doesn't work like that. And you may have, children with different functional levels. Actually, it's pretty much guaranteed. I mean, it's impossible, really, to have 2 kids with autism that would be nearly identical in function. So some may need more. So that there really is the root cause of why I want to highlight some opportunities for parents of autism. Opportunities such as scholarships, benefits, programs, grants, things like that. Remember, that number, $86,000 a year for raising a child with autism. That's the average, compared to $13,000 for a non-special needs child. But that really is the reason why I wanted to highlight some of these programs. And again, and we're gonna highlight these here in just a minute or two. But autism and within a family and a child, remember, all different types of income levels, political persuasions, careers. It defies geographics, psychograph, everything. We see people who are just like us and their children have autism. We see people that are completely opposite and their children have autism. So that's why it's important to talk about these programs. scholarships, grants, opportunities, because no matter what, people need help. And I'll tell you this too, as we see the prevalence of autism increase, and it has significantly over the last several years, decade by a mile, but when these children become 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21, they spill out into the community. If they haven't been given the best shot, the best opportunity, if their parents haven't given them the best opportunity, then they spill out into the community. And what happens then? Well, it can be challenging for local businesses, local entrepreneurs, law enforcement, community leaders, public policy makers, just everyday citizens, you and I. So we want everybody to get the best chance, the best opportunity, so that when they enter society, if they can, to be able to have as much function as possible, to be able to not only succeed in society, because being successful in society, of course, is different perspectives. But, you talk about the pursuit of happiness. It's not just happiness for the child. It's also for the family. They want to see their children do something. And that looks different for everybody, but we still want the opportunity. So that's why we talk about these things, and that's why it's important. Thank you to our title sponsor, Warrior Mom, Tracy Slepcevic. The book is warriormom.org. This is a great book. The headline of the book is A Mother's Journey in Healing Her Son with Autism. warriormom.org. I know Tracy. I know her family, her son, who she wrote this book about. It really is a remarkable experience in what Tracy did to immediately get to work and get results for her son. And that's what she did. She got results for her son. She didn't take kind of the status quo checklist. And, they'll give it to you. Hey, your son or daughter has autism. Here's the manual. And as they say, no child with autism is the same. Well, neither should the manual be, right? There really shouldn't be a manual. Sometimes you have to go off script and write your own. Warrior Mom. The book is warriormom.org. It's available now. And I hope you'll go to Tracy's website, warriormom.org. Connect with her on socials. She's doing a lot of speaking across the country, even internationally. She's putting together the Autism Health Summit, which is autismhealth.com. That's Tracy Slepcevic, the Warrior Mom. Also, our friends at the Original Krabby Bills on Indian Rocks Beach. This is our premier date night location. First off, this is a phenomenal family business that has been in operation, and I'm just talking about the Original Krabby Bills, over 40 years, but they are partners in the dailyautism.com platform. They are, they truly invest in the community that they serve, and we appreciate that as special needs parents. And, we've gotten a lot of messages over the last month of other special needs parents saying, hey, we really appreciate you guys highlighting Krabby Bills. It's been a favorite of ours and our families forever, but just to know that they support your guys' platform makes us feel better. And so we say, yeah, go to date night there. Special needs parents have to go out. You have to have fun. You have to socialize. You still need that. By the way, you deserve that. So we do that at Krabby Bills. Live music every single day. Something about a tropical paradise, Hey, Melissa and I, we have to escape this every day. Grind. It's a grind. It's a challenge. We need it. We need to do it, right? But you also need to make some time. So we do that at the Original Krabby Bills, Indian Rocks Beach. And for those in our audience who are out of Florida, out of state, or even out of the country, so many of you come here. And so we'd love to see you at the Original Krabby Bills, Indian Rocks Beach. Also, America's Autism Hotline. You can get all the details on that at dailyautism.com or listen directly, 877-344-ATSM. Products and services from the entrepreneurs of autism that serve the autism families. That is America's only autism hotline. And also one of our newest community sponsors, My Salon Suites in Largo, Florida. These are great people, again, investing in the community that they serve. Really proud to have their support on the dailyautism.com platform. My Salon Suite in Largo. And we're highlighting Kim Taylor as one of their premier stylists. Kim has many, many years of experience in the hair business. I'm going to give you her number here in a second, but I just want to highlight some of her career expertise, ironically, one of which is highlights. Also, low lights, baby lights, color, glossing. And Kim also services women and men. She offers that complimentary consultation, and with that, offers a $20 gift card towards any color service. So that's Kim Taylor, My Salon Suite in Largo, and her number is 727-266-8099. Again, thanks to My Salon Suite. Very appreciative of their support on our dailyautism.com platform. And welcome back to the Daily Autism Radio Show. You can connect with us at dailyautism.com. Connections to all of our social channels are there: email, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which we have really been growing that platform. So many great autism parents on the TikTok platform. And we do it old school, too. We've got an autism hotline, which you can connect to there, email. However you would like to connect and have conversations, we are available there at dailyautism.com. Okay, we talked about the need for highlighting many of the programs, opportunities, resources, scholarships, grants available for autism families. So I wanted to highlight a couple of them specifically. And if you missed it, the reason why, the need, is really basic financials. It's a basic fiscal need. You know, earlier in the show, we mentioned the cost of raising a child, non-special needs, non-autistic in America, about $13,500 a year. The cost of raising a child with autism, a little over $85,000 a year. Okay, these are annual charges. It is in the millions now for parents to raise a child with autism from birth to 17. In the millions. So you think about all of these costs. Where do families get the money? Where do you get, and it's not even the money. Where do you just get the basic, simple things that your child needs, not wants? You know, we said this isn't about playing on the premier exclusive travel baseball team, plus tournaments, plus travel, plus equipment. It goes on and on and on. I know our kids play sports. It adds up quick. But Cal, our artistic kid, you know, that's the farthest thing from my mind. We have basic needs, basic human needs. We're trying to improve his function as best we can, create a great environment, safe environment for him, as most all autistic parents of autism are trying to do. Let's look at this scholarship here in Florida. I think this is really good. It's called Step Up for Students. And what this is, by the way, it's available for kids from 3 and then to 23. So really from kids to adults. It is called Step Up for Students. And I don't want to tie you down with a bunch of websites and everything, but Step Up for Students, if you start doing the research, it'll lead you in the right direction. It used to be called the Gardner Scholarship, but now it's Step Up for Students. And what this does for students with unique abilities, okay, and that's the portion of this scholarship that you should be interested in if you're a special needs parent, Step Up for Students' unique abilities, is you can use this grant money, this scholarship money. This is not money that needs to be paid back, okay? This is a scholarship. You can use it to attend a therapy center or a specialized school that accepts this grant. There are many across Florida, especially in the Tampa Bay area. Also, they have an opportunity called My Scholarship, which is part of the program. You don't need to research that separately. That's part of the Step Up for Students Unique Abilities Scholarship. But what that is access to, it's basically a storefront. It's a website you go, and you have access to several different product stores where you can get things for your child. Could be safety things, could be an iPad, could be a laptop, could be mats. We have crash mats in our house for Cal, you know, a place for him to lay and kind of roll around. We've gotten, you know, I say furniture, but, you know, floor chairs, floor mats, trampolines, those in-home trampolines. He loves that. It's been one of his favorite things, kind of his own little space, you know, and he's getting all the sensory vibes out of that as well. So I really recommend parents to look into that, whether you're looking to go to a privatized organization for education, or therapies, or you're interested more in the My Scholarship aspect of it, or both. But it's the Step Up for Students scholarship. Okay, Step Up for Students, and this would obviously be for students with unique abilities. They offer a couple different types of scholarships, but if you're talking about autism and a diagnosis and intellectual disabilities, it's Step Up for Students, and it's the UA, the unique abilities aspect of the scholarship. Highly recommend that. And I will say there is a date, a deadline on that, which I believe is coming up at the end of July. So we're about there. So I would get on this soon. You can fill everything out online. It's a pretty streamlined process. And, then it's kind of one of those things. They email you back, whether you're accepted or not. I will say part of this is if your child is enrolled in public school, they will not qualify for this scholarship. So something to consider. And, we know special needs families who some of their kids are in a public school with an IEP, but they're in an ASD program. And other families have elected not to do that. And, they have in-home therapies, or they're at a specialized center during the day. So, it depends on your situation, but obviously Step Up for Students, you won't qualify if you are enrolled in a public school ASD program. But it's a great alternative. It's a great opportunity, depending on your family situation. Step Up for Students in Florida. Now I want to turn to a federal program, SSI. You may be going, well, that sounds kind of familiar. Well, it's part of Social Security. And a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, my child is, 4, 5, 8, 10, 12, whatever. How could they possibly get, Social Security? Well, there's a program from SSI, Social Security, which is disability benefits. So some people call it SSID. And basically what this is, and again, it's similar to Social Security, but it's for children under 18 if they have a physical or mental condition that seriously limits his or her activities. You are going to need a diagnosis, an official medical diagnosis. A lot of people ask, oh, well, my child gets an IEP. Well, that's different. That's different than a medical diagnosis. So I invite you to look into that. I think it's important. I will say that there are, this is income dependent, so not everybody is going to get it. It does depend on income. But that said, it's a program and it's an opportunity. Many special needs families, parents specifically, either lose income because they've had a change in careers, or some lose their career altogether. And I think everybody would agree that is a very cruel way to lose your career. You have to take care of your child. They have a condition, a serious condition that needs immediate attention. A lot of times these are life-saving decisions. My child needs me. And some children with autism need care 24/7. And even if you have in-home therapies and you have therapists coming, they require a parent to be on premises, as they should. There has to be an adult in the home if a therapist is there. It's kind of hard to go into your boss, and say, hey, listen, I've had some changes in my life. I'm not going to be able to come to work anymore. But, can I still have my job? It's tough. It's very tough. So Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, is there. And the best really avenue to start that, or at least research that process, is through the Social Security Administration. Just do research on your local office and start that process. Again, income dependent. So it does depend on your income for that program. That, of course, is a federal program, but you want to call the office that's closest to you in your state for SSDI. Another opportunity for parents of autism, I think this one really has some upside for nearly everybody, and that is the Pell Grant. And a lot of people say, oh, I've heard of Pell Grant. It's been in the news lately with, college loans and forgiving college loans, which, the Supreme Court has ruled that's not happening. But a Pell Grant is not a loan. It is an opportunity, though, for somebody to go and finish their 4-year college degree and be compensated in some aspects to do it. And people will say, well, why would they do that? What does that mean? Well, if you go back to school, let's say you're a parent and, autism with your child has changed your life, which it has for so many, me included. So you have to kind of rewire your life. You have to redesign what life is going to look like. You might need some new education. You might need some new skills, some new training, some new certifications. You can get that at your local colleges. And for a lot of parents with children with autism, I say, well, research a Pell Grant, because Pell Grants can pay you, and I mean pay you. It's money in your pocket to cover room and board. So, think about rent, think about the mortgage, think about the utilities, internet. These are basic needs that we need in America in 2023, really the world mostly. So research the Pell Grant. It does not have to be paid back. There are some income benchmarks that you need to hit. And so a Pell Grant, some people will get more than others. Some won't qualify at all. If you make a really sizable income, you won't qualify. But for those of you who have had a change in career, and by the way, the Pell Grant really specifically has nothing to do with autism or special needs. It just gives anybody seeking that higher education, that 4-year education, an opportunity to be compensated during your semesters. And again, there are some benchmarks of, going to school full time. But one of the great things, many of these colleges are now offering fully online degrees or certification programs. And that, in fact, is covered by Pell Grant. So you can be home, which many autism parents have to be home. You can get that education, and you can get some money that will help you cover some of these expenses, which maybe before the autism diagnosis wasn't a problem. Maybe you had a dual income family, or maybe a single income family, but it was big enough to cover the rest of the family, but then an autism diagnosis in your child. So again, the Pell Grant does not have to be repaid. There are some benchmarks and qualifications, as there should be. You've got to maintain a certain, you can't get money as a Pell Grant and just not go to school or fail. It doesn't work like that. But think about what this has done. And I've talked with some parents too, who have kids who are special needs. I went, I got my degree. It helped a lot. I was paid every semester I went full time. And, I think the max on a Pell Grant now is something about $7,300 a year. You break that down by the month. But I got to tell you, that's, for parents of autism, that's money. That's a bill. That's a significant bill. And just the opportunity to kind of reinvent yourself and maybe to get that career that you need to work from home or get a certification. A lot of these colleges, too, it's not just degrees, 4-year degrees or associate degrees. A lot of them offer programs that you can get out with some skills and training, something that you couldn't have done before. And the Pell Grants, in some of those cases, will also apply. So you want to look into a Pell Grant. They're going to have you fill out a form called a FAFSA. And that basically is just kind of an audit on you, your age, where you live, and, do you want to go to school full time? Where you're looking at going to school? I think before you do any of that, I would contact the college or university you're interested in going to. And, you can talk to the admissions, and they may send you to a financial aid department and just say, listen, here's my situation. I'm a special needs parent, and I'm looking for a Pell Grant. I need to get a degree or get some training. What can I do? I want to work. I want to study online, or maybe not. Maybe you want to go and can go in person, and you can do that too. But I think the best thing is just to really, really lay out your customized situation so that they can give you kind of a customized plan of how to do that. So I offer that up to people because that's something that really is getting an investment in yourself. You may be able to find a career, get some training that may take you through the rest of your life, and most importantly, provide for your family and your special needs child, if you have a special needs child. So that's a Pell Grant. And that is something I would seriously look into. Actually, I've known families where both the mom and dad have both done it simultaneously. And, they had their careers, but they knew that there were going to be changes and they had to get some education. So they both qualified for Pell Grants or certain levels of Pell Grant. Like I said, not everybody's going to get the entire thing. Some may not get any, but many will get something with the Pell Grant. So that's something to to consider as well. And I think that could be a real asset for any family. And if you have questions, concerns, ideas, just thinking out loud, feel free to reach out to us at dailyautism.com. All of the ways to connect to us are there on the platform at dailyautism.com. And this, by the way, is not an exhaustive list. I just didn't want to overwhelm you with an entire show of websites and links and email addresses and Facebook pages. But this is a good starting point, a good jump off for some opportunities at scholarships, grants, federal programs for parents of autism. And if you yourself are not, but maybe you have a family member who is going through this, a coworker, anybody, feel free to direct them to us, dailyautism.com. And we are happy to share all of the information that we have been able to sponge over the last few years. It is not easy. It is very frustrating. And it is frustrating because you're researching this, you're doing this stuff, but you're also dealing with part of the challenges of life that come with autism and being a parent of a special needs child. So we are happy to lighten that load if we can, and at least just supply information, the information that we have and that we research and continue to research and analyze. And to be quite honest, we're lucky. We have a lot of people that, since we've developed this platform, who now just send us updates and info. So it really is, it's what we want to do. It's become purposeful, really, to share all of this stuff with you. I want to touch on this here as the show winds down, and I come at this with, I'm not even really sure what my opinion is on it, but because so much of our audience asks us about it, sends us messages and, emails and texts and everything, I do want to talk about it. It's almost impossible now to not watch something on TV or stream a show or stream a sports game or even get on social media and not see these autism lawsuits. And probably the most popular now, well, two of them I would say, is the Tylenol lawsuit and the Gerber baby lawsuit. And, what they are marketing in a sense is if you're a mother and you took Tylenol during your pregnancy, reach out to us. And these are private law firms. Or, if you're a parent with an autistic child and your child had Gerber baby food, reach out to us. And the intimation is that you may be owed some compensation depending on how these court cases wind up, if they ever wind up. And these are what's called class action lawsuits. And so my purpose in this really for you is, again, and I'm trying to come at this as somebody with not a big opinion on this because I haven't done a tremendous amount of research, or at least the research that I've done has wound up in very different places. You have to understand a class action lawsuit. You are a part of the lawsuit, so you are enjoined with a group of people. If there is compensation, it will be you and those people, and most likely the attorneys will be paid out first. So I have a lot of people asking us and messaging us and talking about these very well-marketed class action lawsuits in regards to autism. And unfortunately, the best advice, and I think it's the best advice, is that you must research this until you're beat down, exhausted. And I know you're going, wait a minute, I'm already beat down, exhausted. I know, but it's very important. So even if you have to call an attorney that's not involved with one of the firms that may be, that may be a stakeholder in this, you might want to do that. Maybe you have a friend who's an attorney or a connection with somebody who's an attorney. You may want to pay the 30-minute or hourly fee and say, what are my options with this, if there is an option? What I'm trying to get you to do is to understand and appreciate the rules of the game in a class action lawsuit. Aside from the intricate part of the specifics of the lawsuit and whether somebody was at fault and responsible, aside from that, I really want you to understand what a class action lawsuit is all about. And then there may be some value, significant value for you. There also may not be. But since so much of, like I said, anybody who's consuming media is talking about this, I wanted to offer that out to you before you or your family considered going down that road. That said, that is our daily autism radio show for the day. Thanks again to our wonderful community sponsors, warriormom.org, the original Krabby Bills on Indian Rocks Beach, My Salon Suite in Largo, Florida, and America's only autism hotline. And of course, we will see you online 24/7 at dailyautism.com, where you can connect with all of our socials there, and we'd love to have the conversation with you. dailyautism.com.